In 1955, the roads rumbled with power and danger. No seat belts, stiff suspension, and steel interiors meant even a fender bender could be deadly. Brakes faded fast under load, and cabin noise was deafening. It was bold, it was loud. But in 1955, driving one felt more like surviving than cruising. Dear viewers, please subscribe to our channel. Thank you for your support. Number 5, 1955 Dotto Firedome. Loud but lacking polish engine. The 291 cubic inch Hemi V8 produced a deep, throaty growl, more muscle than manners. Dual exhausts enhanced the rumble, but cabin insulation was minimal by modern standards. Road and engine noise easily crept inside, especially at speed. Transmission whine. The PowerFlight 2-speed automatic could also whine noticeably under load or when cold. The real problem's drum brakes. The Firedome weighed over 3,900 pounds, but came with non-vented drum brakes. These were heated easily, especially on long downhill drives or in stop-and-go traffic. Brake fade was common, meaning longer stopping distances and a lack of control during emergency stops. The sleek, wrapped windshield and wide C-pillars looked cool, but created major blind spots. Rear visibility was limited, especially dangerous when backing up or merging on highways. No power steering on base models made tight maneuvers exhausting. The soft suspension caused significant body roll, making fast cornering risky. Understeer was the norm. No seat belts standard, no padded dash, and the steering column pointed straight at the driver's chest. In a frontal collision, the rigid column and metal interior could cause catastrophic injuries. The Firedome was built for comfort and status, not high-performance driving or safety. In the mid-1950s, features like strong brakes, crush zones, and roll protection simply weren't a priority. It was a car that looked great in your driveway and cruised beautifully, but it demanded caution in real-world traffic, especially at speed or in emergencies. Number 4, the 55 Special was powered by Buick's 264 cubic inch 4.3-liter Nailhead V8, which produced around 188 horsepower. Though torquey and reliable, it was mechanically loud due to solid lifters and narrow-angle valve design, paired with a Dynaflow transmission, which was smooth but sapped performance, often causing the engine to rev higher and generate more noise than other automatics. These cars lacked effective sound-deadening materials. On anything but the smoothest roads, owners reported rattling doors, window glass, and trim at speed. Wind noise at highway speeds, especially around the vent windows. Exhaust and engine sound. The Nailhead had a deep, throaty exhaust note, but became drony at cruising speeds due to poor muffler tuning. Build quality, panel gaps weren't consistent, and body flex on rough terrain added to creaks and groans. This was especially true for convertibles. Drum brakes only. The Buick was big and fast, but came only with 4-wheel drum brakes. These overheated easily during repeated stops, pulled to one side under hard braking, had long stopping distances, especially in rain or on steep grades. Interior hazards. Steering wheel featured a solid shaft. In crashes, the wheel often pushed straight toward the driver's chest or head. Dashboard, unpadded and fully metal, filled with sharp-edged trim, knobs, and switches that could become dangerous projectiles. No safety belts, not even offered as a factory option in 1955, and rarely installed aftermarket. Side impact weakness. Door latches could pop open in a crash. No structural reinforcements in the doors, just sheet metal between passengers and whatever hit them. In modern crash simulations of similar era cars, these Buicks show minimal occupant survival space in frontal or side impacts. Catastrophic deformation of the cabin, even at speeds as low as 30 to 35 miles per hour. High risk of ejection due to no belts and weak door retention. Number 3, 1955. Studebaker Commander had a relatively flat windshield and upright cabin design. At highway speeds, This translated to loud aerodynamic turbulence around the A-pillars, poor door seals, which let in whistling wind and cold air. Powered by a V8 engine, 259 cubic inches in the Commander V8, it wasn't exceptionally refined. Under hard acceleration or uphill climbs, engine drone and mechanical clatter filled the cabin. Insulation was minimal, just basic mats and thin padding behind the dash and under the floor. Thin steel body. Studebaker was known for lightweight construction to boost performance, but this came at the cost of safety. Crush zones didn't exist, and the steel used was relatively thin by even 1950s standards. This meant cabins deformed easily in a crash, with little protection for passengers. Brakes. The 1955 Commander had four-wheel drum brakes, which were prone to fade after repeated braking, inconsistent in wet weather, often required significant pedal effort to stop quickly. While not an SUV, the Commander's narrow track, high ride height, and relatively short wheelbase gave it a tendency to tip or lean dangerously in emergency maneuvers. If a driver tried to swerve suddenly at high speed, the suspension's body roll could lead to instability, especially if one side caught a curb or edge. Like many cars of its time, the interior featured rigid metal dashboards, non-collapsible steering columns, and no seatbelts as standard. During a frontal collision, the steering wheel could impale the driver, and sharp knobs chopped trim posed a serious laceration or impact risk. Despite its attractive design, especially the hardtop versions, the 1955 Studebaker Commander simply wasn't engineered with occupant safety in mind. What it lacked in refinement and modern crashworthiness, it tried to make up for in style and power. Unfortunately, that trade-off left many drivers and passengers at serious risk in real-world accidents. Number 2, the 1955 Hornet still used Hudson's inline-six twin H-power engine, a large 308 cubic inch powerhouse originally built for racing. It had a deep, guttural exhaust tone that gave it muscle car vibes well before the 1960s. However, it lacked modern soundproofing and vibrated heavily at idle and under acceleration, especially with twin carburetors. Minimal firewall insulation meant engine heat and noise bled directly into the cabin. Road and wind noise were prevalent at highway speeds. The aerodynamics were blunt, and weather stripping was basic. Structural weakness. Despite its step-down design, with a floor pan that sat lower between the frame rails, the 1955 Hornet still lacked crumple zones or any true energy-absorbing body structure. Inside or frontal collisions, the solid steel cabin didn't deform to absorb impact, meaning the force was transmitted to the occupants. No standard safety gear, no seat belts, no padded dashboard, and no collapsible steering column. The steering column could spear the driver in a frontal impact, a common risk in mid-century cars. Thin doors, minimal interior padding, and a lack of side beams meant side crashes were especially brutal. Door latches could fail or pop open, ejecting passengers. Brakes and handling still used drum brakes all around, which were prone to fading under repeated use. Its heavy curb weight, over 3,800 pounds in some trims, made it difficult to stop quickly. Steering was vague at speed, especially on wet or rough roads. While the 1955 Hudson Hornet maintained some of its earlier performance spirit, it was outclassed by newer competitors in both safety and refinement. AMC's attempts to modernize the body couldn't hide the fact that this was a car built on aging engineering. In an era when crash protection was barely considered, the Hornet remained fast but fatally fragile. Number 1. The Thunderbird wasn't built to compete as a sports car. It was Ford's answer to the Corvette, but aimed more at style-conscious buyers than racers. Ford marketed it as a personal car, sleek, upscale, and enjoyable to drive on long, open roads. Low-slung body made it feel fast and sporty, but offered little structural protection in crashes. Two-seat layout emphasized exclusivity and driver focus. but left no room for impact-dampening structure behind the occupants. Wraparound windshield looked dramatic, but created glare issues and structural weakness in rollover scenarios. Though equipped with a solid V8 engine, the 1955 Thunderbird had significant limitations in performance and safety by today's standards. 292 cubic inches, 4.8 liters. Y Block V 8, 193 horsepower. Respectable power but carbureted, which made throttle response inconsistent. No traction control or limited slip differential. Rear-end fishtailing was common. Body-on-frame construction with soft suspension made for a smooth ride, but it floated and swayed on curves, understeered at speed. Bias ply tires had poor grip and wore quickly. Drum brakes on all four wheels were prone to fade under stress. Here's why the Thunderbird posed serious danger in real-world accidents. In modern crash test terms, the car would likely fail every test, from frontal impact to rollover survival. In the 1950s, style and power were king. Few buyers thought about safety. Ralph Nader's unsafe at any speed wouldn't come until 1965, and it would take even longer for regulations to catch up. It looked like something Frank Sinatra or Marilyn Monroe would drive. In an era of tanks on wheels, the Thunderbird felt light and cool, even if it wasn't really safe. The 1955 Ford Thunderbird is an icon, a milestone for Ford and a symbol of 1950s car culture. But beneath the surface, it was a dangerous machine by modern standards. It prioritized image over safety, performance over control, and left its occupants vulnerable in any serious accident.